Well, hello. Hello, my dearly beloveds. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Oh, I just noticed I had something on there. Oh, right. Oh, my water. I just got out of the shower. Oh my goodness. How is all of you? How are all of you? How is all of you? Yeah, it was interesting to look at the No Kings. Hi, everybody. Take a seat. We're going to get started. We've got people showing up. We're doing our thing. Looks like Linda G just started also. So that's kind of unusual. We usually don't go on at the same time. So it might be a bit quiet today. Usually she knows I'm here every Sunday, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm just checking to make sure while we get started. What is going on here? Okay. How is everybody? So, how was your weekend? Did everybody enjoy the new Saturday Night Live cast? Not bad, right? They're pretty funny. Got some of the old people still there with Saturday Night Live, some of the new people. A funny show, right? What's nice is that their sketches don't last more than 5-10 minutes. So if you don't like one sketch, you can always watch another sketch, right? Thanks for the hearts, everybody. Thanks for the hearts. Well, tell me what you're up to. Tell me how you've been. Who here went to the No Kings March? That's the first thing that I would like to see. I did, you know what? I never made it to the King's March. I got wrapped up, no King's March. I got wrapped up in a bunch of stuff. What was I doing? Oh, yes, I was dealing with an article I had written for the Times, and there's a couple of other articles. I got to get going on stuff. Yeah. All right, so we are raising money now for those people who want to contribute to our fundraiser today. Feeding America Together is our fundraiser. Our fundraiser today is Feeding America Together. Oh, my sister and I are talking about what's going on in Gaza since she tries to keep informed about it as well. So, it is what it is. We all want peace, love, and harmony, but not everybody wants peace, love, and harmony, which is unfortunate. Anyway, so who here made the march? Did you make friends? Were you impressed with how peaceful it was? Because I hear it went off without a hitch. That the only people that are really creating the problems right now are ICE agents that are going around attacking anybody and everyone, including social workers. They've beaten up social workers. They've beaten up human rights activists. They've even threatened. Haven't they even threatened members of Congress at this point? I mean, do you think, I guess this is something I'll throw out there, do you think that this is going to have long-term effects on Trump's popularity? Do you think it's going to get even worse? Oh, I just talked to my hairdresser. Yes. Can't live without them. They're very important. Us old ladies like our hairdressers. What can I tell you? For making ourselves pretty, for making ourselves pretty. Well, let's go ahead and say hi to everybody as you slowly make your way to our meet and greet. Thank you, everyone who's decided to hang out with me. If you haven't had a chance yet to like, share, and subscribe, this is our Sunday get together, and we are thrilled to have you here. And yeah, that's what's going on there. That is what's going on there. Well, is this what people voted for? I mean, do you think that the average American is happy with this, or do you think the average American is frightened when they see what's going on? Because I would think that the average American seeing regular people being beaten up, are they even seeing it? That's the other thing. If they're not looking at news shows that are covering the assaults against regular Americans, then they probably don't even know how bad it's gotten. Soulful management brings up a really good point, and that is, what did the American people vote for? You know, that's ultimately what we have to ask ourselves. Is that what the American people voted for? I don't know. They said they didn't want to have illegals. Were they talking about crime? The whole reason that they're upset about it was because we don't want gangs coming in with fentanyl, etc., and the gangs coming in past our border. And I don't think that there's anybody I know that would disagree with that. I think that the issue here is that they didn't go after the gangs. They went after normal people that were applying for their visas in LA. They were compliant, and then they had jobs, and then they proceeded to arrest them at their hearings to get their visas. So they weren't even going after. It was simply a war on anybody who happened to have immigrated to the United States and was looking for asylum. Even asylum is legal, by the way. It's legal to seek asylum if you're being oppressed. Thank you, Lady Justice, for that donation. I much appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, so it looks like Hamas has been killing civilians. Trump is claiming that he gave Hamas permission to kill civilians. Okay. So let's think about that. So Trump says that he gave Hamas permission to kill civilians because he felt like there were some bad hombres there. And boy, who better to kill all those bad hombres in Gaza than other terrorists? So he said he gave the terrorists permission to kill the other terrorists, which is a bit strange. Now, I guess some soldiers in Rafah, remember that the perimeter of Gaza is probably going to be created as a safe zone for Israelis and Gazans to work together, etc. So they were encroaching on the safe zone, Hamas terrorists, and they attacked. I think they may have injured even 3 Israeli soldiers. Were they killed or were they injured? What was the story? So clearly they don't want peace. Hamas is not interested in peace. And they're not interested in giving up their guns. So it is pretty highly likely that is where we're headed, unfortunately, is back to another attack. According to the Times of Israel, which is centrist politically, pretty good, reliable uh, newspaper. 2 soldiers were killed and 3 wounded in attack on troops in Gaza. IDF launches wave of strikes on Hamas. 21 said killed in retaliatory strikes. Major Hamas tunnel previously used to hold hostages was struck. Elite Hamas Nukba commander has been killed. Terror group says it found body of hostage. So another body has been found in one of the tunnels. So, yeah, it looks like ceasefire will come to an end, which is what we had kind of expected, because you really can't do a rebuild of Gaza so long as you have, as long as things are like the wild, wild west. So it's kind of like the wild, wild west. You got to go and take those puppies out. I guess they're going to. Oh, lovely. Karina said there were no arrests on the King's March. No King's March? No arrest in the No King's March. Awesome. I'm just having coffee. What's everybody eating and drinking? Okay, so a couple of announcements before we blitz away. We have a new book, which is called Atlantis Falling, and it's written by Adam Gabriel Steinmetz. Atlantis Falling by Adam Gabriel Steinmetz. Please check it out. I think you'll absolutely love it. And hopefully we'll have him at in the studio sometime early November. Gives you plenty of time to pick up your book and talk about the meaning of the book, which explores the mythical fall of the mythical land of Atlantis, if it existed. We don't know. We think maybe. I don't know. What are y'all thinking? You think that Atlantis existed? Peanut butter. That sounds lovely. Y'all like those peanut butter pretzels? Those are pretty good. Good for you. With well, that's balancing to row backwards. That's very balancing. Mystery food. Well, hopefully it's a good mystery food. And peanut butter powder is nice. You can take butter on your toast and then sprinkle some peanut butter powder on it. And then you get the protein without the fat. Stephanie is convinced that Atlantis is real. She says, I had an apple scone with peach and ginger tea. Yummy, yum, yum. Will Israel go after Iranian targets? That's a really good blitz. I think we should do that. Absolutely. April says that she thinks many societies have existed and then disappeared. I agree with that. Yeah, well, we're going to go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer, and then we will give you all a collective reading. Hopefully you will enjoy all of that. Collective readings are fun. And we like them. We believe in them, yes. They do a body good, don't they? Yes. Okay, let's do the empath prayer, and then we are going to give you a collective reading. The main thing I took from my remotes last night is that a way of looking at the Middle East right now, I know everyone's focusing on profits and Trump's going to make profits. That's kind of not the bigger picture. Yes, Trump and Kushner will make money off the deal. The Oracle of Whimsy will probably make money off the deal, full disclosure. I will probably do what I can to get paid for my contribution, and I have no problem taking the money. I will donate part of it. Sure, why not? Um, it is a for-profit venture, and a lot of people are going to make money off of this trade route, and I think that's absolutely fine. But the bigger issue of the Abraham Accords is that there is a lot of money to be made if we don't fight. And I've always said that how do you make someone a Zionist? You make them an investor. So if someone is invested in your country, they don't want your country to collapse. They want your country to succeed because your country's economic success is going to have an impact on them. And that's ultimately the greater picture of the Abraham Accords is can we get Middle Eastern countries to invest in one another, invest in trade, do away with war? And if we do that, what would be the economic implications? All right, so think about that. If you have a treaty, and the treaty is that everybody has to be on board, that nobody's going to be hurting anybody else, and we're just going to live and let live, viva la différence, viva la, how's it go? Viva Las Vegas? No. Then that means you're going to have to get some approval by people, right? You're going to have to get people to go along with this. And that means agreeing not to go to war, right? So the benefit of the Abraham Accords is that people, you could interpret it as people were bribed not to kill each other, right? You could say that. And we could have a huge discussion on how you morally and ethically feel about that. Well, I don't think that people should be bribed not to kill each other. Well, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have war. But if I have an economic investment in Saudi Arabia or Qatar, then I'm going to want those economies to do well because it's going to have a positive impact on me. When you put yourself in those shoes and you start seeing it from a global perspective, what do you see? Say you have 20 countries on board with this idea. What are you going to do with those countries that are not on board? Say Iran. Iran wants a caliphate, right? They want to take over. Iran wants to take over the Middle East. Do you think Saudi Arabia is going to let that happen? United Arab Emirates? Of course not. Israel? So it means that if this Iranian government cannot get on board to do an international peace, open border trade deal so that there's no more war and they can start thinking in terms of constructing roads, bridges, infrastructure, and financial benefits to everybody, then those countries have to be toppled. So who's on thin ice right now? Who is on thin ice in the Middle East? If the future is the Abraham Accords and Oasis is the model they're using, and the digital fingerprint would suggest that that's precisely what they're doing, who's going to benefit and who's the problem? United Arab Emirates certainly benefits. Israel benefits. Bahrain, Morocco, Italy, and Italy, France, Great Britain are on board. So who's in the cold? Who's in the cold? Iran and Syria. Can a nut job like the head of Al Qaeda oversee a functioning Syria that's at peace with Israel? No. Where'd the money come from? Wealthy, religious, right wing Muslim persons, right? So the money came from Qatar. Some people in Saudi Arabia, some people in Qatar that wanted to kill all the Jews, right? So they're gone now, or they're being eliminated, which is why I don't think that Syria has a future with the current administration. I think that more than likely what they will do is they will get rid of that person. They have to get rid of that person because he doesn't do anything to stabilize the region. So that's why I said that we should be seeing the fall of the current leader of Syria, and that it will be taken up by somebody else that's on board with the Abraham Accords. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to do an empath prayer. If anybody needs to receive a healing at this time, go ahead and give us your name and we'll include you in the prayer. How are you all doing? What you eating? What you drinking? You having a good week so far? Yeah? Oh, fell sideways. Good to see you all. Sundays are the best. Sundays are the best, aren't they? We are raising money for feedamerica.org. It's very hard right now out there. We have a lot of inflation, a lot of people who are worried about their bills and are relying on feedamerica.org. So that is what we are raising money for today. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead. We'll do the empath prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. And for those of you who are requesting healings today, we come together at this time and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together again, collectively, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed. All right, so we're going to go ahead and give you a collective reading. This collective reading applies to everybody who's watching it. And if whatever message comes in doesn't apply to you, you can just go ahead and pass it down to the next person. But this is the coming weeks. We're going to do a tarot reading on the coming weeks, what we can expect. I'm excited. Do you think that there are people in positions of power that are currently in Trump's administration that are trying to get rid of Trump? Elon Musk says that he's now going to be endorsing J.D. Vance rather than forming a third party. And he wants to see what the public thinks of that. Do you think the signal here is to push Trump out and push to get J.D. Vance in? Is that what Elon Musk is saying? He's saying that he wants to endorse JD Vance for 2028. Is this a way of saying he no longer has confidence in Trump? What do you think? Only time will tell, right? All right. The reading for the day and how it applies to you. What does Spirit want everyone here to know? What do you need to know that will be revealed at the time that you receive this reading? You like my tablecloth? It's handmade. I bought it on an island in Guatemala. Indigenous peoples. It's their design. All made from hand. I like it. But it's green, so I think it wouldn't work with a green screen. That's the only problem. All right. Where you and me and everyone else is headed. Where are we headed? That's the ultimate question. The base of the matter is the sun, and the sun reveals that which is hidden. Sun sanitizes things. The sun sanitizes things. Think about that. So if somebody has impetigo or something like that, the person sits out in the sun, the exposure to the sun is ultimately what kills the infection. So the sun is about revealing things and exposing things that have been hidden. Mold, fungus, mildew don't do well in the sun. So the horrible, the awful, the crazy. So expect in the coming weeks, both in your personal life, but also on the public stage, that certain truths will be revealed to you, that you will have information you didn't have before about certain things. So we're entering a time in the United States and also throughout the world where a lot of stuff that was kept hidden is coming to the light. Do you think that the intelligence agencies feel betrayed by Donald Trump? Do you think that the Department of War has a problem with Donald Trump? Do you think the FBI and CIA might have a problem with Donald Trump? If they do, then will they continue to protect the general public from the various crimes they knew Trump committed but chose to ignore, protect, or hide in order to have their personal agendas met? Well, if their agenda is not being met, what obligation do these intelligence agencies have towards Donald Trump and covering up his crimes with Epstein, etc.? If they feel betrayed, then they're going to do everything in their power to come up with a way to expose this person, right? So we have two things happening in the coming weeks. The first is that more than likely Epstein stuff is going to come out. It's going to be made public. All the horrible, awful things that Trump has done are coming to the surface. I'm also going to go ahead and predict that the intelligence agencies were partly to blame because they have cut the cord with this president. The consequences, I think there are a number of reasons. Because he went crazy, because the people who wheel and deal, who have the money, the Koch brothers and everybody else, have lost confidence with this president, but they haven't lost confidence with JD Vance. Clearly. Not if Elon Musk is talking about funding him in 2028, which means what? They'll be happy to take him in 2026 and then get him reelected for a second term in 2028 if they're already talking about a committee with Elon Musk funding it. You see where we're headed? So the truth comes out, and then the consequences is the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is a bowl in the china shop, right? So it's this angry revenge kind of a feeling, like, I'm going to retaliate. It's violent. It can also be violent police activity. So the karma card, which is the card that sits under the base card, is that there will be this violent reaction. So we're going to be seeing possibly more frantic or aggressive behavior by the government, such as ICE, etc. We're entering into the time of the King of Cups, so a time of negotiation and peace. The King of Cups is the bridge over troubled water. He's the great negotiator. And that makes sense that this is what we would be seeing in the next couple of weeks because we're in the middle of a government shutdown. And I think people are genuinely afraid about what the consequences are going to be. So we also can expect while all this crazy stuff is coming out, oh my God, that came out. Oh my God. Did you hear the latest? And you can see this violent military reaction like, I am not in control, Knight of Swords. But you also have in the middle of all this people that are trying to get the government to be functional. Is this the last stand of Mike Johnson? What do you guys think? Do you think that Mike Johnson is finished? Do you think that he threw himself on the grenade for Donald Trump, Mike Johnson? How much has Mike Johnson sold his soul in order to get where he's at? Conversion therapy, to stop being gay, right? Marrying the woman that approved his conversion back to being straight, right? This is what he originally was. This is what they argue. And we're just helping him return back. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. So if you were a therapist, you might think that Mike Johnson is really confused. What happens when a person's confused? They don't know who they are. They don't know what they believe. They don't accept their fundamental nature. Mental illness, right? If you don't accept the truth of your life, you're going to have mental illness. Heavy duty research time. The next couple weeks is the time for you to study, learn, develop your knowledge. I think that Mike Johnson is at a point in his career where he's going to have to do a lot of soul searching, given these kinds of cards and given the kind of energy I feel. Can't see the forest through the trees. Mike Johnson is so invested in this, he cannot even see his way out of a paper bag, lost in a state of confusion. People are so close to the situation, they don't know how they got in and they don't know how to get out. Sitting in a world of dreams. Dream. Right? The Queen of Cups rubs her lamp and dreams. So I feel like we have to be very careful that we're not slipping out into some fantasy world. The moon, lunacy, the queen. People are spinning out. If you can't accept simple objective reality, then you may spin out and go and join some other cult or some other belief system. I see the Democrats developing a stronger and stronger and stronger case against Donald Trump and his policies. And I see that the end result is that Mike Johnson is going to have to concede. And I think AOC is going to be very important in the coming days in the House of Representatives, because I see AOC as the Queen of Wands. And this Two of Cups coming in over Mike Johnson in the House leads me to think that Johnson has no choice but to try and work out a deal, or this is going to go on forever, with the Democrats. And I think that AOC is very non-apologetic about what her beliefs are. But you have this Queen of Wands coming in. You have Mike Johnson acting as the King of Cups. You have real confusion here. Queen of Cups dreams, lunatics with the moon. But you have us moving into Two of Cups, which means resolution has to happen. Travel, movement. A lot of people wanted to know why Trump went to Walter Reed. When I did a remote view on why Trump had gone to Walter Reed, we had to determine whether or not I was the physician in the remote. We had to determine whether or not we could give him the all okay to fly because of his cankles. So we had to check his vitals, his physical exam, his blood pressure, how he was doing on the blood thinners, and sign off. And he probably travels with a medical team to sign off on his being allowed to fly to the Middle East. To be able to do what he did is really hard on the body, pressure changes, etc. For regular people, let alone someone with those who's nearly 80 years old and has those kinds of medical problems. So what they decided was to go into Walter Reed and get an extensive checkup to make sure that he could fly. And then while they were there, they decided to run some other tests as well. So that's why he went to Walter Reed. Now, we've also talked about the fact that if there's cognitive decline or evidence of cognitive decline, the real medical records are something that his cabinet is going to want to take a look at. To get a cabinet to betray the person that gave you the job is pretty rare because they don't want to be out of job, right? So they're going to continue to let this guy run in the White House, even if he winds up being so senile. It's like talking to a potted plant. They will keep him there because they don't want to lose their job. But if they were to get guarantees of being hired or taken up by J.D. Vance, if J.D. Vance's people could guarantee a job to many of those people, wheeling and dealing, negotiating, you're gonna make me ambassador of France. If those kinds of deals are happening, I'll do this for you and that for you if you issue Article 25. We could be seeing something like that going on. That's not thinking about the American people. But if you have to say no confidence in this president because we suspect that he's senile or something of that nature, you're going to have to get a guarantee from the future administration, J.D. Vance, that you've got a job after. You want to be rewarded and you want to be guaranteed that there's no retaliation. Paper pushers. I just feel that everybody is running back and forth to try and do things, but nobody really knows what to do. See this? This is all paper pushing. You move around. It's like they're moving around and moving things and ordering things to be done so that it looks like they're doing something, but this looks like a real standstill in the House. The women will win. Power to the people. Ultimately, the will of the American people wins and the Epstein files will be released. Three of Cups is dancing in the streets. It's also an armistice card, female power card. It can be female marriage, partnership, the hand fasting, right? So it would denote that a time is coming where in the very near future where there will be dancing in the streets and a celebration. Most likely Johnson having to concede some power to the Democrats with that Two of Cups moving into sixth position, which you can see. And that Queen of Wands, man, that looks like AOC. She's got so much Aries. Is she an Aries? Because she sure presents as an Aries. Clarification. Someone's going to get blamed for this. I don't know if it's Johnson or who it is, but the house is on fire. Tower. So now we have to find scapegoats for how this happened. You know what I mean? There's the money. Look at this red tape and money. I love how instead of red tape, they just have her in a red dress with tape. Oh, that was pretty clever of the artist. It's often like economic red tape or like, oh my God, my bills, oh my finances. And that is ultimately what's going on in the house. You can see the house in complete chaos with the tower, 10 of wands, the heavy load, 8 of swords, the taxes, the money, ace of pentacles is a clarification. The final outcome is be patient. Sobriety and sanity will return to the house, but it will also mean that some people are going to have to be forced to see reality and come out of their own delusions. So with this kind of juxtaposition, the 3 of cups, the 2 of cups in future position, temperance, we will go back to the government will not be shut down. A deal will be made with the Democrats. The Epstein file will be released. God, look at that lunacy in the 4th house. Look at that moon floating and that Queen of Cups. They're just living in they're living in some alternate reality. I'll tell you though, with the karma card of the Knight of Swords moving in over here, there's a lot of anger and crazy and this desperate need for control. And look at that opposition. Look at that tower just up in smoke and this tied up over money issues. This is so interesting to see this. Interesting. According to the Akashic record that I'm seeing right now, the reason why they had to push it through was defense contracts. They had to get it through because they have foreign business like the Abraham Accords, which requires us to give foreign assistance, foreign aid, weapons, planes, etc. And those contracts can't begin if we don't get back to the house. And so ultimately, it's costing us money internationally, sales to Qatar, sales to Saudi, etc. And so what drove us back was ultimately our need to go back to business. We have people calling us. I'd like to order 2 jets. Are you guys in business or not? We got to hurry this up. Get back to work, because it looked like it was an economic reason that ultimately we have to get back into session because I can't even take these orders from Saudi. That's money for us. If Lockheed Martin gets the contract, right? If Boeing gets a contract. So the business of DC, the business of wheeling and dealing that is America, making money for America, that is ultimately why we have no choice but to go back in. And I'm going to go ahead and predict with these cards that everything's going to be released in less than 2 weeks because of this and because of this. And I would say Johnson is wheeling and dealing with the Democrats probably within 3 to 4 days. How long do you think that Johnson can continue to protect this president from his own bad history? What do you think? How long can Johnson continue to do that? Just protecting this guy's bad behavior, that guy's bad behavior. 2 weeks. So what do we learn? What do we learn from this? Money talks. Is there a spiritual lesson for all of us? I mean, seriously, and then we can go ahead and do some blitzes. Do you guys think that there's a spiritual lesson for all of us because of what happened with Mike Johnson? That bit by bit, he was lying to himself, trying to do something that wasn't true, trying to be someone that he wasn't. And do you think that the consequences of that were that nothing, if you build a foundation on something that isn't real, if you build a foundation on something that isn't real, What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's going to be a successful transition? No, of course not. So that's basically what happened, and that's the lesson we see with Mike Johnson. All right, it looks like Tulsa TV is reporting that multiple Israelis have been killed. Hamas has broken the deal, and it looks like we are back at war with Hamas. Is anybody surprised? Is this the mop up now that we've been talking about? Yeah. So was Hamas ever going to be allowed to stay in the new Gaza? What do you guys think? No, of course not. Because it has to be it's going to be a stable part of the world, right? You got to have a stable government where people are not running around kill the Jews. Yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. So you have to have a stable government coming in, which is why Europe and the Arab states are coming in to stabilize the area. Will we have a deal by next week? Let's go ahead and blitz, blitz, blitz away. If you just joined me, be sure and like, share, subscribe to the stream. I would be so gosh darn helpful to me. I would so appreciate that. Will we have a budget by next week? Ask Joel Tilson, our amazing floor director. Give him a shout out. Hi, Joel. Be patient. You must be patient, grasshopper. It's a new beginning starting in DC. Hanging it up. What is it that they're hanging up? I'm seeing people are going to have to let things go on both sides. Look at that. Grief. Look at that stubbornness. Man, I think you guys, when I go into this Epstein energy, I'm telling you, I don't know how to break it to you. This does not feel like they're trying to cover up just Donald Trump alone. This feels to me like multiple people are being implicated and that multiple people don't want the Epstein file released because multiple people are being named. So who do we expect is going to be named? Bill Clinton, right? Donald Trump, Melania Trump. Who else? Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew just lost all of his titles, and his nephew, the future king, William, has basically said he wants nothing to do with his uncle. Love him or hate him, Prince William has zero tolerance for this kind of crap. So if Prince William had his powers, Andrew would be kicked out of the family entirely. Anybody that betrays the Windsor family, speaking publicly ill of the family, like Prince Harry did, makes the family look bad. Anybody that makes the family look bad, all for one and one for all. If you don't present as a unified group, if you make us look bad by your philandering or by talking smack about your family, you're out the door. This is William's attitude, right? Ten of Swords is multiple betrayals, I'm telling you, they're going to, it isn't just Trump that's getting thrown to the wolves. That's what people have to understand with these Epstein files. Trump is just one of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of creeps that thought that this was great. People that were part of the international modeling world, right? Eileen Ford of Ford Modeling used to be considered one of the best, most. I tried to get into Ford models when I was a model, couldn't get in. Elite modeling agency also. I thought that these were regular agencies. I was a model when I was very young, and those were the agencies we all wanted to get into, Elite and Ford. And now it's coming out that they, in addition to being modeling rinks, they were pedophile rinks and were engaged in some human trafficking. Kids that were coming in from France and Europe and were being bought and sold to millionaires and billionaires through the agencies, right? So all of that comes out, hanging up, tossing the person to the wolves. That's how I feel when I go into this energy, Joel. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but damn, man, Death and Ten of Swords and Hangman. If you I'm telling you, it doesn't matter who you were in your previous life. If you were a king, if you were a prince, prime minister, Ehud Barak, was he also linked? It doesn't matter. You're going down. You're going down. Help me create a positive spin for the Ten of Swords and the Hangman. Damn. No, I don't feel it's just Trump. I feel that the resistance is because, I'll tell you honestly, I feel like the resistance exists because all these people in DC are bought and sold by handlers and by lobbyists and groups, and that the people associated with these groups some of them have been linked back to Epstein. So if you are taking money and your main constituents are linked to this, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure it doesn't get released. So who is keeping the flood out? Mike Johnson, he's holding up the wall and there's a flood coming. And is it just going to name Donald Trump? No. How do you guys feel about that? I voted for Bill Clinton twice. I'm a registered Democrat since I was 18. So does it matter if it's a Democrat at this point, or is it just that this should be a bipartisan desire to clean up DC and to clean up our country? And does that mean that we don't care? If Bill Clinton participated, then he should be exposed. If he went to the island, if all that stuff is true, tell us. Stop protecting people that rape kids, that hurt kids. Your job is to defend and protect America and to protect the Constitution, not to protect creeps in DC that give you money. And that is ultimately the spiritual decision that every member of Congress is going to have to face, and stop lying to themselves about the real reason that this cover-up is happening. And in the end, Congress will do the right thing. And the consequence, look, we have the sun as the base for the reading of the next couple of weeks. The sun sanitizes, you guys. I don't know. How do you feel about all? They're terrible. These cards are terrible if you did something bad. They're done with you. Hangman, Death, Ten of Swords. You're finished. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Alan Dershowitz. There's another one that's going down, right? Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre? Is that how you pronounce her name? Giuffre? Her book came out, right? She had multiple encounters. It's now coming out that she had multiple encounters with Prince Andrew. She was with him 3-4 times. When that hit the British press, that was it for Prince William. Get this fruitcake out the door, Ten of Swords. Hang him up. Let him go. Death. A new beginning in D.C. Look at this fear. Look at this fear. Look at the opposition. Keeping that door closed. Trying to hold us off. Inevitably, they're going to have to just let it go. That's my interpretation. Damn. Those cards are awful. They're just the worst. Anybody surprised that they, like, damn, who did you pledge allegiance to, you freaking pricks in D.C.? Them or us? What the fuck is that? Pardon my French, but what the hell? You shut the government down to protect them? We don't care if they're registered Democrats or Republicans. We want our children safe. We want our country to be an ethical country where children are not molested and abused. And I say that as a registered Democrat. I don't give a damn. Expose them. Get them in prison. Get them out of D.C. All right. Will Venezuela be invaded by the U.S. forces? Oh, my God. That is a tense situation. That is a tense situation. And I honestly don't know how that's going to play itself out. Yeah, I am upset because I'm naive. I grew up on the Brady Bunch. You know, I think people should, if you're being given that much trust from the American people, you're sitting in front, damn straight, I'm going to expect more from you. Damn straight. I don't give a damn about your political party. Then be a Democrat. You know, then stand by the ethics and the values of the Democratic Party. All right, Venezuela. Right now, they are working very hard, excuse me, to keep war from happening. I don't know. You know, Four of Swords is like a feeling of inactivity. It's when you just are in a holding pattern. Economic benefits, the Empress that ever overthrow, the treasure trove that ever overflows is the Empress of wealth, right? There's a lot of money to be made off Venezuela's oil. Is that correct? Is that why ultimately, remember when we had the visions like 6-7 years ago of Putin going into South America? Now we're there, right? Because he put Maduro in. Wow, they're doing everything in their power to avoid war. This is good. Within the next 30 days, we're going to see change in the situation. A great rejoicing is coming to Venezuela. The power of women is going to be, because of the opposition just won the Nobel Peace Prize. America will back the female opposition. And Maduro is going to have to step down in order to avoid prison. I think Maduro is going to step down because the future is female, Three of Cups and the treasure trove. And also you have the scholars coming in. To avoid war, Maduro must step down. He must just agree. Go to exile. Go to Russia. You were put in by Russia. I'm feeling like this female leader, who, by the way, she was smart to compliment Trump. She's trying to keep herself alive. Remember when we said that as soon as she won the Nobel Peace Prize, she was facing higher risk of assassination? So what was the first thing she did? She called the king, Trump, and said, "Oh, you are more worthy than I, king." This is a smart woman. This is a smart woman who's trying to stay alive and not have her head. She wants to keep her head on her shoulders. I think Maduro will step down. I think that the opposition will win. That's what I believe. Absolutely, Mente. Yes, there will be a two-state solution because they're putting in a technocratic government of countries that support the um, Abraham Accords, and then they will help create a democratic state that's functioning by and for the people, and won't have all this crazy death cult charter. We're going to kill all the Jews. All that stuff is gone, and instead it's a technocracy. What do they call it? Technocratic government. And they say that a whole thing will take about 5 years. Absolutely mente. That was the agreement to get MBS on board. Is it had to be a two-state solution in order for him to sign with the Abraham Accords. And the good news is that the new Oasis Abraham Accords creates a two-state solution. Oh, look at that. The world involved. And the final outcome. You know, Trump, I wanted to call them freedom zones. I don't want to call it Oasis Zone. I don't want to. I want to call it like America, freedom zones. Well, you're not going to get it because this is the Arab world, this is the Middle East, and we don't do freedom zones. We do oasis zones. That is the history of the Bedouin. And this Gaza will be an oasis zone for all people to come, and the money will stay with the Gazan people. And the Gazan people are going to be pretty damn rich by the end of this. You can't go in and steal somebody else's land. It's in violation of international law. But what you can do is you can take the 2-mile perimeter and create an integrated society where 3% of Gazans go to live, and then they get rich, right? Joining that oasis. So who are you going to take in the oasis? The best and the brightest, the future leadership of Gaza, right? Ooh, I'm seeing really good leadership over Gaza. All war, they say all war comes from jealousy. If you want to avoid war, take away jealousy. So, the Palestinians are jealous of the Israelis. So the Israelis are jealous. The solution is to do away with the jealousy. You know, if you look at the tent of Abraham, it was inclusive. Everybody got to be a part of it. And that was how Abraham was able to avoid war, is that he got people to be included. Great wealth over Oasis, great wealth for the two states, great wealth for the people of Gaza. And they deserve that. They deserve to go back to their original heritage. Remember, Gaza was an oasis. It was an oasis zone. Before all the war and the crazy and Hamas and Al-Qaeda and Netanyahu, all this crazy, thousands of years ago, it was an oasis zone with an aquifer, its own rich water supply near Kerem Shalom, right? It's always been an oasis zone. Stabilize the area and let it evolve into the oasis it was always meant to be. Give it the love and nurturing it needs and let it be that oasis zone. Empress is the treasure trove that ever overflows. So yes, the future of Gaza is very bright, but look at all this jealousy. We want it for ourselves. Well, Iran wanted it, right? It was strategic. For strategic reasons, that's why Iran went in. He's going to have to give up power because he has to realize that he doesn't have any. Oh, I think it was a huge success, don't you? But if all we're going to do is protest, we have to get mobilized on a ground level and make sure that we are protecting ourselves at a local level. You know, consequences of the no kings. We took the weapons of war away from the king. The truth came out. The devil. And the final outcome, Trump. How do you think it feels to be Donald Trump? How do you think it feels to be Donald Trump knowing that the whole world hates you? That can't feel good. How could you possibly feel good about that? A great healing is upon the nation. Archangel Raphael in the seventh house. A great healing comes to the nation. Things are being uprooted, right? Things are being uprooted. The truth is going to uproot a lot of things. Archangel Michael stands in the house of opposition. The truth shakes things up. The truth shakes up the house. Regarding addiction, codependency, foolish behavior, it's like a cult. People got involved in a cult. They thought the Democrats were devil worshippers who eat babies, right? So people got literally pulled into politics is one thing, but when you start accusing your opposition of being baby eaters, at that point you've probably gone too far. But you have this kind of cult aspect, foolishness, devil worship, codependency, cult-like behavior, and then Trump, and then the final outcome is great stars. So great healing comes to the nation and good stars over the nation. Ultimately, it's the courts that stop Trump. The Queen of Truth. When I think about the Queen of Swords, she's often hangs out in the courts. She's often seen around the courts. Yeah, Sword of Truth, courts. Okay, Congress in session next week. Let's take a look. If you haven't had a chance yet to like, share, and subscribe, I would totally love it if you would. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What is going on with Congress next week? What is going on with Congress next week? Two of Swords, stubborn people, Knight of Pentacles, not going anywhere. Hopes and fears, complete chaos and confusion. Final outcome in the grave. They're still duking it out part of next week. Look at those masters coming in. I'm telling you, we go back to work in order to approve deals that bring money. Also, people could be ordered back to work for legal reasons. If the courts come in, it could be that they have to approve the budget for just look, police have to be paid, the government has to be paid, the military, things have to happen. And so some legal issue comes in where for legal reasons, and we cannot continue the shutdown. They can't continue inevitably. It becomes a legal problem in and of itself if they refuse to open. So I'm seeing legal action taken potentially against the House if they don't get back to work and do what they were put there to do. The courts could come in and people in Congress could be facing legal actions. You can't just shut down the government and leave. Screw you, everybody. Doesn't work like that. Will the COLA for 2026 be enough for Social Security and retirees? All right, 2026, Social Security and retirees, how are they going to be holding up? Things moving quickly. A karmic wheel emerges. Fighting in the Senate and Congress. Abandonment. Yes, it will be dealt with. Yeah, they will be fine because Ten of Pentacles is the outcome. But damn, Trump wants to give them nothing. If Trump had his way, seniors would have nothing. Will Ukraine and Russia make a peace deal soon? Will Ukraine and Russia make a peace deal soon? Ooh, yes. Look at the money. They're going to be paid not to kill each other. There's huge money coming in. This is all money. Slow and steady wins the race. Hopes and fears, King of Cups. And then the final outcome is yes, they will get to armistice soon. Oh, we have great financial benefits moving in. Lots of work and lots of contract with that rebuild. Look at that. 6 of Wands moving into 7th position. Final outcome, 9 of Wands. I'm telling you, yes, the rebuild is starting. Yes, Ukraine is going to be at peace, but people will go to jail. There's a 9 of Wands there. I'm telling you, even if Putin agrees to pull back, he's still facing legal challenges and could wind up put behind bars by the end of this with that card as the final outcome, 10 of Wands. Yeah. You should be. Let's see what's happening. Is there going to be, I think there would be. Don't you think that the GOP is going to be at civil war with Trump? Don't you think that's going to happen? All right. Civil war turn on Trump. Yes, they are very, very disappointed with how this administration turned out. So it wasn't what they had planned. It wasn't what the GOP prepared for, and it wasn't what they approved of. So they're claiming that they are very, very disappointed. What did they think was going to happen? He's not functional. Money. Ultimately, if they can make money, they'll stick with him. And if they can't make money with him, they'll go with JD Vance. If I were them, I'd go, and I was thinking like them, I'd go with JD Vance. They're single-minded. He got the peace deal done, right? The signing of the peace deal with Egypt, the end of the war with Hamas. So his work is done. I mean, do we really need him to stick around much longer now that he's done what he did? He will stay in power as long as he is making money for the GOP. Once he ceases to be able to get them pennies on the dollar, right? Once he fails to do what he was put in to do, which is to make money for them, he will be removed. He's a car salesman. The Abraham Accords, he had nothing to do with the Abraham Accords. He certainly didn't write the 20. You know how hard it is to write something like that? It takes decades of research. I'm thinking theoretically. And I just can't imagine somebody like this could create something like that, right? We're talking about decades and decades and decades of research. Geo-mapping has to be done. A deep understanding of the cultural narrative, right? So this was a deal that was going to happen. They just needed a car salesman to stand up there and shake hands. But the deal had already been, the smart people had already created this. And so when people get all pishy about the 20-point plan, it wasn't his plan. He never wrote it. He was just the guy hired to stand and shake hands. And it's like, wow, you did that. Where's my snack? I want my snack. Where's my prize? You know what you do the next time Trump says, "Where's my prize, Rice? Where's my prize?" We just gonna give him a big box of Cracker Jacks. That's right. There's your prize, Mr. President. While the rest of us are working on peace, you just go eat that Cracker Jacks, and then when you get to the bottom, you're gonna get yourself a prize, right? So it was a financial Ace of Pentacles with Trump. So it basically they brought him in to be the guy that poses while while they push their agenda, and some of those agendas are very good, and some of them are not so great. Yeah. Oh dear, that sounds rather gruesome. I think I'm going to let that one go. Yes, absolutely. Hello, my love. Hi, Geocosmic. Hello, Eleanor. Oh yeah, you can watch both of us. Just go back and forth. Some people have us both on. She usually doesn't come on at this time because she knows I'm on at 11. So she might have something to do. That's why she had to come on. Or I don't know. It's cool either way. You'll find yourself here eventually. Hi, Linda. Afghanistan and Pakistan having a border war. Yes. What do you guys think about this? That's kind of interesting. So Pakistan is invading Afghanistan, and Pakistan was given reassurances that it was a loyal ally of Saudi Arabia. So what is Saudi Arabia up to if Saudi Arabia is making peace with Pakistan? Trying to get rid of the crazies, right? They're trying to get rid of the crazies and all those nut jobs in Iran that came in through the Pakistani border, right? That want to promote this extreme uh, Shia sects, right? Let's take a look at what's going on in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Ooh, a great celebration. Armistice. Armistice Day. And Two of Swords. Stubborn. Hopes and fears that there will be fighting. And then the final outcome over Pakistan. I think that Pakistan has expelled something like 1 million extremists, and they will continue to expel extremists. Remember, out of 148 countries that are recognized, Afghanistan has 140 is at 148 for human rights, and Pakistan is 147. So their neighbors are dragging them down, right? The only thing that's going to change Afghanistan and Pakistan is economic prospects. Paying people to be moderate, the business people coming in and investing in Afghanistan's rebuild. The only way out of this is economic investments. Yeah. How do you protect these ideas? By making people investors, right? If a person is an investor in Israel, right? Well, I have to see the state of Israel survive because I have an economic investment. I want to see the oasis survive because I have an economic investment. I want to see Afghanistan survive because I have an economic investment. So it's really about this idea of, can we create an economic investment, and then the economic investment becomes the impetus for peace. Is anybody surprised that the ceasefire broke between Israel and Gaza? Do we know where we're headed? What's the next thing that has to happen? if you're trying to keep people alive and you want least number of deaths, what does Hamas need to do? So what's the next thing they're planning? If they care about people not dying in Gaza, what's the next thing that they have to do? They have to lure Hamas to a host country to get them to leave. Wouldn't you rather enjoy the flowers in Algeria? They're so nice this time of year. So there's a luring that has to happen. We've got the barbecues on the Barbie, right? Who wants kebab, right? There, you got the Mediterranean climate. Come on over to Algeria. The wieners and the schnitzels are waiting, right? So the next part of phase 2 was always that Hamas would have to leave before the rebuild could start. And so we would assume the ceasefire would break so long as Hamas is in Gaza. And this was the direction we were always headed. And this is the direction that we will go, because we will follow the math. And this is where the math leads us. A little birdie told me. How long have they known? How long have they known the math? They've known the math since December 20, 2023, 3:53 a.m. Somebody didn't get any sleep that night. Yeah. So Hamas is leaving. They can't stay. They create chaos. They make life hell for the people of Gaza. And there can't be any peace there so long as those nuts are running around with guns, killing people, right? So that's what happens. Oh, how lovely, Patricia. Yeah, I was working. Absolutely. Sending healing to Gaza. Yes, please. We want peace, and we want all those innocent children in Gaza to be born and raised in oasis, right? Beautiful. You guys had snow? Really? Who here has gotten snow already? So that was the first snow of Wyoming. How could anybody think about the old days before they had central heating? How could Native Americans survive in Wyoming? And yet there were many tribes in Wyoming. Wow, unbelievable. My sister's taking me to lunch, so she's like, how long are you going to be? I'm coming in from Salem. Yes, so the truth comes out over the situation. Yes. Nice. Page of Swords is always at the base. That's very important. Okay. Oh, yes. Always good to calm down. Do you think it's what America voted for? I don't think so. I think they just wanted good income. They wanted their salaries. They certainly didn't want this poverty. You don't have enough hair for a hairdresser. A lot of good things are happening globally. Like finally we will have peace in the Middle East. If we have to pay people not to kill each other, so be it. They don't have the number of illegals that are criminals. So any person brown or yeah, that seems to be, they seem to just be randomly targeting anyone that looks dark, right? Trump admitted they are gladly going to war over pushing the envelope. Strange person. Miller definitely has fascistic leanings. Absolutely. And very important, when they take away our ability to march, that will be a problem, right? Yes, Hamas needs to go to a host country. We all know where it's headed. We've known for a long time where this is headed. They have to go to a host country, have a nice trip somewhere else. Not exactly, Deborah. That's kind of like a fake story. Anything to kill and destroy the Jews, gas them, kill them. You know, everybody hates the Jews, Deborah. Israel makes a lot of money for Israel. That's the that's just what the enemy wants you to think, Deborah. But a lot of our security is supplied by Israel. Now, the money we give to Israel is very specific. It is to handle and protect U.S. interest in the Middle East by paying to prop up their military, which is pro-American. Now, we could stop paying Israel, in which case we could send U.S. soldiers back to Lebanon, and another 350 could die in the next explosion, or we could save ourselves some money and very specifically fund Israel, and then everybody can slap around the Jews because it's fun to kill Jews, right? It's the soup du jour, right? But the amount of money that we give to Israel isn't really that much. And it's very specific, and it's for security reasons. But I know a lot of people hate Israel and the Jews because it's popular, right? It's popular to hate Jews. It's always been popular, but it's just not objective reality. I mean, we give a lot more aid to other countries than to Israel. And Israel pays us back in security, right? They're one of the leading security suppliers in the world. But what Deborah is describing is a common myth. We make a lot of money off Israel. There's a great way to help Deborah Murphy. We can help Deborah Murphy. I think Deborah Murphy needs to go on a vacation to Israel. And I think it would take you less than a week to have a complete turnaround on your thinking. Yes, Trump has claimed that he's going to kill Hamas because Trump is stupid. We just need to lure them to a host country. Hamas wants, yes, that's exactly what they want. So what's scary about all of this is that Trump has said that he gave Hamas permission to kill people in Gaza. Oh, well, you can go ahead and kill them. I don't mind. But now you've killed too many, so you need to stop. So, well, they were only killing their opposition. Yeah. So this is why America gives money to Israel, Deborah. Because America doesn't want to deal with this. Because if America went in, or it was our soldiers, it would be our soldiers that would have to be cleaning these people out, finishing them off. And we don't want to do that. We'd rather get somebody else's kid to go and die for democracy. Let the Israelis die. And then we can blame them when we fund it, right? Because we don't want to be there. We do not want to be in the middle of this. Would you want to be in the middle of this? Would you want to send U.S. soldiers to clean this up? No. So send somebody else to do it. And then complain when they don't do it the way you like. So America is welcome to come in if America wants to come in and deal with it. But I don't think America wants to deal with it. I think the average American is just very naive. I don't think the average American has seen war. I think they're living in a cushy little home, in a cushy little house on occupied Indian lands, talking about a part of the world they've never been to, with no clue what's going on. They've never known terror. They've never known October 7th. And it's just so easy to blame the Jews because, you know, it's popular. So that's what's happened. You can't really, there's no nice way to get rid of psychopaths. You know, that's the problem. It would be nice if there was a nice way to get rid of crazy people, but unfortunately, that is not what's going to happen. You want to live next to them? You're welcome to live next to them. If you don't like the way we're handling it. Just some of the people, these are 378 dead youth that went to the Nova Festival, and this is what Hamas did to them. Maybe Deborah Miller has a better way of handling it. I don't know. All right. Did you all have fun today? Did you all have fun today? Yes, it's easy to give advice when they're not pointing the gun at you, right? Easy to talk and judge when it's not your kid in that pile, right? What if it were your daughter, your son? Would you let them keep arming themselves so they could come and get you next? Probably not. Let's look at the future of Iran. Sure, because you haven't risked anything. You're 11,000 miles away in a warm bed. They aren't bombing you. You're not running into a bomb shelter. They're not raping your kid in front of you. It's not happening to you. So it's easy to be liberal, right? Until it happens to you. Iran's future. They are trapped. They will be squeezed economically by the Abraham Accords. A judgment over Iran. Hopes and fears that it will end. Final outcome for Iran. More problems coming for Iran. Can we work it out? They want peace, love, and harmony. I'm telling you, this guy, I predict the leader of Iran is going to leave. He'll go into exile. And I think that we're going to see new leadership in Iran. I've always felt that it was pretty heartless. Like the attacks happened late October. I wrote the Oasis one. I spent years on it, but sent it November 21st to the IDF. Elon Musk got his copy November 27th. I was back in Israel in December. You know, you're being bombed, you're running into bomb shelters. People are like hysterical. My baby is tied to a rock 60 feet underground. Get my baby out, right? So we had Hostage Square. Just go to Hostage Square. Anyone that wants to smack the Jews around, just go spend some time in Hostage Square like I did in Tel Aviv. Talk to those grieving parents who watch their kids get raped on live TV. Same thing happened with, can you guys hear me okay? Same thing happened with Vietnam, you know, blame the soldiers because people didn't have a clue what those men went through in Vietnam when they had to, and in some cases women where they were, war is hell, you know, war is hell. All right, you guys, until you've walked in the shoes, until you have seen real terror, somebody that any one of you here had been at that festival, they would have come for you. Every single one of you would be dead right now. And they showed no mercy. Men, women, babies. Babies were raped, shot and killed in front of their own parents. Families literally torn to pieces with bare hands. This is a type of psychosis you can't even begin to comprehend. They're not victims. They're not poor oppressed Gazans. They're dangerous, dangerous, dangerous people. They're not your friend. They don't care about the LGBTQ community. They don't care about the LGBT. They want all gay people dead, all non-Muslims dead, all women in burqas. You're not their friend, and they don't care about you. And they think it's great. Gazans think the Gazan leadership loved it. They loved it. They were celebrating in Doha while women were being raped live on TV. Look at them. They're so happy. They're thanking God for the opportunity Kill juice.
جيب وجابينه طلع طلع جيب اللي صاير مدينه دخل على
That opening fire on civilians walking down the street. Yay! They're so happy. Thank God for this wonderful thing we have done. That's what you're dealing with. That is what you're dealing with. A death cult. It's a death cult. It's not something that you can even begin to understand. And until you get it, until you understand it, you'll understand why Gaza looks the way it does. It was a foreign government. It was backed by Iran. And it's going to take a long time for us to clean up Gaza. And it's going to take a long time. And, I'll be back probably in Israel in a couple months. I go a couple times a year now. You're welcome to come with me. See it for yourself. Talk to the victims. Yeah. All right. I want to thank you all for being here. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can find all that information below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Say thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.